Really quick before I start, I wanted to point out that my figure one isn't loading on this presentation format unless you zoom in, but it'll be different for the actual presentation. It's just for the sake of the Zoom recording and screen sharing. It's easier right now on this. Okay, so I'll get started. Hello and welcome to my Capstone Symposium presentation. My name is Niki Kirihara and my presentation is called Oh Soil, What O-Horizon Thickness Can Tell Us About Summer Soil Moisture in Pacific Northwest Forests Amidst Global Warming. Okay, so really quick, a bit of background. Of course, as you know, global warming has been exacerbating water availability limitations in forests quicker than these ecosystems can adapt to. And forests are really key ecological service providers that can act as carbon sinks, watersheds, wildlife habitats, natural resource suppliers, and so much more. In other words, they're really priceless for this earth. And recent evolving forest management practices in tandem with global warming really necessitate research into more strategies that can account for more holistic forest health and foster climate resiliency for the longevity of these forests in the long term. And my project is concerned with the topmost layer of soil, the O-horizon, which is mainly comprised of decayed and humified organic matter, which is usually the topsoil or like the topmost layer of soil that can provide really good nutrients to the surrounding vegetation and can even provide some evaporation protection as well. So my research was guided by two questions. What is the relationship between soil moisture content in volumetric water content percentage and O-horizon thickness in centimeters? And how does soil moisture compare across various stand densities? So to answer those questions, I had the opportunity to intern with the Northwest Natural Resource Group, and I worked on their summer forest climate resiliency project, in which we got to measure soil moisture. You can see that in figure 2, that's the probe that we used. That's me using the probe. And O-horizon thickness at 2 sites, the Nisqually Community Forest in Ashford that had 4 transects, 70% thinned, gap cut, which is no trees at all, 50% thinned and our control, and at Taylor Mountain in Issaquah that had 3 tree per acre types, 170 to 200, 220 to 260, 300 to 360 trees per acre, and there were 4 plots per trees per acre type, so a total of 12 plots. And from there, I analyzed the data for relationships between those variables at each of these sites to see if there was any information that could further inform us to think about these strategies and forest management practices. And so our results, the first key result is that there was no correlation between soil moisture content and O-horizon thickness. And figures 3 and 4 kind of suggest that through those linear regressions, thicker O-horizon is not associated with higher soil moisture. And no correlation between those variables was really observed between the individual transect types themselves. So like within the 70% thin transect, O-horizon and soil moisture didn't correlate as well. And average O-horizon thickness did not greatly differ across stand density or trees per acre, with exception to the special case of the gap transect at the Nisqually Community Forest. I'll talk about a little bit more in a sec. But the second result is that soil moisture did seem to correlate with stand density, which was interesting, because average soil moisture over time did not seem to vary really at the Taylor Mountain plots, but higher rates of thinning seem to correlate with higher soil moisture retention at the Nisqually Community Forest. And so back to that special case, as you can kind of see in figure 5, the gap cut transect really did have an intense amount of logging debris that impacted both the O-horizon measurements and soil moisture measurements. And what we found was that over the summer, the gap cut transect both started and ended with the highest average soil moisture content, and was followed by like a descending order of thinning. So then it was the 70%, then 50, and then the control. So control had the least amount of soil moisture at the beginning and the end of the summer, um, which was really interesting. And so, what does all of that mean in terms of the bigger picture? Well, these findings suggest that factors other than horizon thickness may influence summer soil moisture levels in these PNW forests. And again, looking back at that special case, while higher thinning rates correlated with higher soil moisture content at that gap cut transect, it's really important to consider that canopy coverage, evaporation levels, and winter snowpack also probably played a big role in um, creating those results, because over the winter, that gap cut transect could have had the highest levels of winter snowpack because there was no canopy interception for that precipitation to reach the ground because there was no trees. And so it could have started off the summer with the highest soil moisture content because of that winter snowpack level, and just was able to retain it the most because of that logging debris left over that transect. And so instead of thinking about the results in terms of higher rates of thinning correlating to higher soil moisture over the summer, maybe another way to think about it could be that not removing logging debris before regenerating forests is a possible strategy to optimize soil moisture over the summer, because that slash or logging debris really did play a role in impacting soil moisture results in this transect or in this forest over the summer. And all of this kind of really culminates into necessitating more experimental research to further explore the possible causal relationships between these variables rather than just looking at correlations like I did over the summer. And yeah, that was my presentation. I just want to acknowledge my amazing site supervisor, Rowan Braybrook, and the NNRG staff, my wonderful faculty advisor, my POE cohort, my lovely internship partner, my friends and family for all the loving support. And yes, thank you so much for listening and for your time.